no matter how rich it is, the schools are limited by their budget. So they should not be spending some of this limited money getting permission to use non-free software. However, some proprietary software companies get rid of this reason by donating gratis copies of their non-free software to the school. This is part of the reason why you should always use the Italian word libero. Don't say free software when you're speaking Italian. Say software libero. It'll be clearer, because we're not talking about software gratuito. We're talking about software libero. Leaving so soon? I hope it wasn't something I said. And why do those companies do that? Is it because they are idealistic and want to help education? No. The reason is they want to turn these schools into instruments of imposing their power on all of society. When schools choose between proprietary software and free software, they direct society down one path or another. If the schools teach proprietary software, they are inculcating dependency into their students, a dependency that will last after they graduate. And you can be sure that the same companies that give these students gratis copies today will not give those same people gratis copies after they graduate, nor will it give gratis copies to their employers. So really, this is a way of using the school to apply leverage to society as a whole. Schools, however, have a social mission. They're supposed to train a society of capable people accustomed to freedom. And this means teaching the use of free software and only free software. Schools have a mission to train the next generation so that it will be accustomed to living in freedom. But there's a deeper reason. For the sake of programming education. You see, at the age of 14 or so, some people, the natural-born programmers, become fascinated with computers and want to learn everything about them. If a student is using a program, he wants to know how it works. But when he asks the teacher, if the program is, how does this program work? If the program is proprietary, the teacher has to say, I'm sorry, I don't know, and you can't know because it's a secret. And thus education is not possible. But if the program is free software, the teacher can say, here's what I know, and if you want to learn more, here's the source code. Read it, and you'll learn everything. And the student will read it because he's fascinated. And the teacher can say, if you find any part that you don't understand, show it to me. I'll figure it out and explain it to you. And this way the student learns a very important thing, how not to write code. Because these students don't have to learn to program. For them, it's obvious. You read a manual, you know what to do. But learning to write clear code that other people can understand, that takes time. The way you learn to write good, clear code is by reading lots of code and writing lots of code. And every time you read something which is hard to understand, you learn something. Don't write it that way. thus, every school in Italy can offer people the opportunity to learn to perfect their programming skills just by having a PC running GNU/Linux and at least one teacher capable of guiding these students as they wish to learn. But there is an even deeper reason for moral education. You see, schools have a mission to teach children the habit of cooperation, the habit, and thus eventually the spirit of goodwill, of helping your neighbor. So every class has to have a rule. Children, if you bring software to class, you may not keep it for yourself. You must share it with the other kids in the class. And if you won't share it, you can't bring it. However, the school has to set an example of its own rule. The school must bring only free software to class. Therefore, I suggest that you begin organizing to begin the long path of moving this university completely to free software. This can't get done in a day. It will take time, it will take multiple steps. But if you stand firm for recognition of the social mission of a university, which is to encourage the dissemination of knowledge, then right will always be on your side. So now I will close by introducing my other identity. You see, sometimes people have accused me saying that I had a holier-than-thou attitude. I don't think that's true, because when I meet someone who is not doing everything possible to struggle for free software, I don't seek to criticize that person. What I want to do is convince that person to do more. However, I do have a holy attitude, because I'm a saint. It's my job to be holy. I am Saint Ignatius of the Church of Emacs. I bless your computer, my child. Emacs started out as a text editor, but because it was extensible, it was extended to do everything. And it became a way of life for many users as they discovered they could do all their work without ever exiting from Emacs. And ultimately, with the creation of the news group alt.religion.emacs, it became a religion as well. Today in the Church of Emacs, we have a great schism between two rival versions of Emacs. And we also have saints. Fortunately, no gods. Instead of gods, we worship an editor. To be a member of the Church of Emacs, you must recite the Confession of the Faith. You must say, there is no system but GNU, and Linux, it's not finished, and Linux is one of its kernels.